Friday, 23rd of January 2026. Dear listeners, good day, and thank you for joining us for yet another edition of Special Echo, your weekly spotlight on issues shaping our society and the stories behind our shared future on Season Media Radio. At the anchor, I am Fru William. Dear listeners, today we dive into a topic that affects every farmer, every homeowner, every investor, and every young person dreaming of owning land someday. We are talking about the land question, ownership conflict, and their hidden economic costs. Before we get into the subject matter, across Cameroon and many other African countries, the struggle over who owns what piece of land has shaped our history, our politics, and even our economic progress. Why does this problem persist? What does it cost us silently every single year? And what is the way forward? To help us unpack these complex issues, we have with us Mr. Atega Daniel, a certified real estate consultant and the lead marketer at Property Trust Group in Boya, chief town of the Southwest region. Good day, Mr. Atega Daniel, and welcome on Season Media Radio. It is a program Special Echo.
Good afternoon, Mr. William. Thanks for having me.
Let's begin with the basics. When people talk about the land question, especially in our national context, what exactly do they mean, Atega Daniel?
All right, before we go into what the land question is all about, I want us to deconstruct the land question. Now, when we are talking about the word they, that's THE, is a definite article, means we are talking about a particular something. So we are talking about Cameroon, the land Cameroon. And of course, what is a land? We have to define it, even though it might seem too common, but let's know what a land is. So a land is simply an area of the earth's surface that's excluding water. So any area of the earth's surface that water is not included in is what land is. And of course, a question is an interrogative something to know. So what is the land question? When we are talking about the land question, we are talking about issues, all unresolved issues concerning land ownership, land verification, and land control and land documentation. And also, when we talk about the land question, we are also talking about who should own land, who should buy land, and who should sell land in general.
So, Atega Daniel, before you press further, it is important we understand the genesis of these land ownership conflicts. So, how far back do today's land ownership conflicts go? And of course, why have they persisted despite policy reforms, new land laws, and administrative changes over the decades?
Land conflict didn't start today, right? I remember when I was in my from between 10 to 15 years, when my parents will put up a Nigerian movie, and we see how parents or brothers kill brothers, parents attack other parents, families go into division, conflict, they lose trust with each other just because of land issues. So land conflict and issues didn't start right now. It started back then, even before the independence, and right now there are still land conflicts. And the reason why land conflicts persist now, the most reason, is because of the traditional land ownership that is overlapping with the state ownership. Sometimes the traditional rulers don't want to accept that this is how it's supposed to be. In fact, that the way land ownership was before has changed, and also the state is saying that now we have come into a colonial system and we are still in it. These are the new laws when it comes to land ownership, and the traditional rulers, because they don't want to accept, and I think that is because there is no dialogue, because the government or the national or the state doesn't call the traditional rulers to sit them down and be like, okay, this is what has happened, this is how we should move forward, to hear their own side of the story too. But they just come to implement the laws without even trying to discuss or dialogue with them. So I think land conflict started back then, even before independence, and the reason why it's persisting is because of traditional ownership overlapping with national ownership.
Speaking that way, it is beginning to be clearer, and I believe as we run through the program, it is going to be better. Let's talk about the economic side of this issue, Atega Daniel. In what ways do unresolved land disputes slow down economic growth, especially in sectors like agriculture, housing, or infrastructure? Because in Douala alone, major court cases have to do with land property.
All right, the first thing that these disputes do is that they discourage long-term investment, right? Of course, nobody will want to put in his money where he knows that in the nearest future is going to lose the money. And mind you, in real estate or generally in life, the money comes from how long you've invested. The more you invest, you make profit, you plow back, you invest, you make profit, you plow back. And in real estate too, for example, when it comes to commercial real estate, if you invest, you decide to buy a property and then put up a building, let's say 100 studios to put it out on rent, you know that the only time you are going to get back return on investment on that property is in 10 to 20 years after. And if at the back of your mind you know that if I buy this property now and in the next 5 years or 10 years after I'm done building the property, either the state or traditional rulers will come back to me and be like, hey, this property was initially mine, was initially the government, or was initially that of the chief or the chiefdom, you are going to leave it. Nobody is going to invest or is going to get into that kind of investment. So the first thing that these disputes slow down when it comes to economic growth is it discourages long-term investment. And secondly, farmers hesitate to improve on their lands. And the thing is that the problem with this doesn't only end at the initial problem of farmers not being ready to improve on their land. If farmers don't farm, they will not have what to eat. If farmers don't farm, they will not have money, because it's from the farming that they have their businesses, and from the businesses they make money, and from making money they send their children to school. So if there is an unresolved conflict, or if there is an effect that this conflict land issue is having, it doesn't, the way the government should fight to stop it is not as if it has one effect. It has a second level, third level, fourth level kind of effect. If the government decides to resolve the issue of farmers and lands, the government has helped them to eat, the government has helped their children to go to school, the government has helped them to make money, because also is also going to reduce theft, because they are farmers where if there's nothing to eat, they begin to intrude into their neighbors' farms and stuff like that. And I think the third way it slows down economic growth is that developers delay housing projects. Because, for example, I am a real estate consultant based in Boya, and more than 95% of my clients are Cameroonians abroad. A lot of them have a problem investing in areas like Munya and Mile 16, because they are like, hey, if I build a house here, either the government or the chief or the Amber boys are going to come and stuff like that. So it's really a big issue.
I take it, Daniel, in every society we have laws, that govern this society, and we cannot talk real estate without making mention of the law. So do our current land tenure systems encourage fair access and secure ownership, or do they unintentionally fuel more disputes, according to you and from what you have gotten from the field?
This point is very important. Now, the problem is not really the land laws. The problem is the implementation and the awareness of the law. Now, what a lot of people don't know is that, first, there are two ways in which you can generally buy land in Cameroon. The first is you can buy, or there are two different set of people you can buy land from. The first is you can buy, that's aside the government, right? You can buy from a private individual, or you can buy from a corporate organization, that's a real estate company. And the safest way in which you can use to buy land is to buy from a real estate company. The reason why you should buy first from a real estate company is because they have a reputation to protect. The real estate company is there for the longest term. And there are also factors you need to take into consideration before buying from a real estate company. Recently, I was hosting a webinar teaching some Cameroonians abroad on what to consider before buying land here in Cameroon. And I told them that if you are looking for a trusted or genuine real estate company in Cameroon, the first thing you should check is who is the face behind the brand. who is the person, because if the person doesn't have integrity, of course in the long run that business is going to fail and your investment is going to fail. The real estate company will have a company lawyer, they will have a company surveyor. In fact, some real estate companies like the one I'm working with, Property Trust Group, they have a direct partnership with the regional delegate. You see, so stores like site plans and survey plans, they come directly from the regional delegate. And also, cost of documentation is very low when you are buying from a corporate body. Now, the downside of that is that a lot of people don't know that there are established corporate bodies or real estate companies in Cameroon. A lot of people don't know. Now, when you are going to buy from a private individual and the only thing the person wants is his money. The moment the agent takes the money, the family share the money. If there is any other problem and you go back there, they are never going to resolve it. For example, we sold a property at Bova 2. That's just 5 minutes drive from Boya town. We sold the property to one of my clients in Belgium, and when his surveyor and his engineer went there to start the foundation, some guys or some junkies in the quarter just came and stopped them. I'm like, okay, why did you guys cut this tree down? We sold this land, we did not sell the tree, so you guys have to pay us for the tree, or you were supposed to normally call us to come and cut our tree. Then the guy, that my client, the engineer got to the client called me and was like, Daniel, there's a problem. Those guys have stopped my work on my property. Immediately, because we have a whole team called the Land Inspectorate Commission, I called the head of lands and like, there's a problem on that property, go and solve it. See that kind of thing now. What if it was a private individual? So people should learn how to purchase a property legally, because the land laws are not really a problem. It is the process and then the implementation and the awareness that's a problem.
But government reforms and commissions have attempted to fix these problems, but then again they still persist. In your view, how effective have these efforts been in resolving long-standing land issues? For example, in the city of Douala today, in major neighborhoods, when you pass by, you often see something like, this family domain is not for sale. This plot of land is not for sale. Referring to the fact that there are issues on that plot of land, and you will see most often at times a red cross on these properties that are not for sale. So government reforms have tried, commissions have also attempted to fix these problems. In your view, how effective have these efforts been in resolving long-standing land issues?
When it comes to government laws, the effectiveness is only on paper.
Wow.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that? Are you saying that the laws are just being announced but implemented on the field?
Exactly. The government is not really making sure that the laws be implemented 100%. And when we are talking about the government, we are talking about a whole body, right? Because the government starts from the top to the bottom. So when the people at the top, right, make a decision or come out with a law concerning land, the people at the bottom are supposed to respond with implementation. But now the people at the bottom had already created a path, or should I say a wrong path, where finance comes into them very well. Now when those people at the top send a law that implement this law, but because they don't want to, if they know that if they start implementing this law, money will stop flowing in from this path that they created, right? So they take the law, they announce it and say the government has said we should do this, and then they keep the law and they keep doing what they are supposed to do, because they know that from that road money is coming into it.
Wow, this is quite interesting, Atega Daniel. Let's take a break and we are going to proceed right after. Welcome back on Season Media Radio. If you're just joining us, dear listeners, you're listening to Special Eco, your economic program on Season Media Radio. The topic for today is the land question, ownership conflicts and their hidden economic costs. What are the stakes so far as land property is concerned? Atega Daniel, certified real estate agent and the lead marketer at Property Trust Group all the way in Boya is our guest for today. Atega Daniel, we were talking about this issue of land, and we are still on the subject matter, but permit us get into the human impact of this issue. How do land conflicts affect ordinary people, farmers, displaced families, or even young people hoping to acquire land for their future?
Startup entrepreneurs do get affected when it comes to land conflict, in that farmers lose their crops. For example, there is a land conflict that recently happened in Boya, where farmers were fighting with some buyers. The chief sold the farmers' lands to some investors, and the crops of the farmers were still on the property, and then the investors had to develop that place, so they had to bring some bulldozers and caterpillars to level the place down. And the farmers have been fighting, and they were like, chief, and they were instead of going to their chief to talk to him, they were attacking the investors. You see, attacking the workers, not even the investors, the workers, and like, leave our property, go and tell the chief. And all of that still boils down to first dialogue. They were supposed to instead go to the person at where the problem started from. Go to their chief and be like, chief, these people told us that you sold our property to them. Is it true? Chief will be like, yes. Like, please, can you tell us why you sold the property? And if there's a good reason, the chief will not have to compensate the farmers, or maybe they have to share the loss equal and stuff like that. But the chief doesn't even have his time. The only thing the chief wants is money. The chief has taken money and be like, investors, invade, do anything you want to do. When the farmers come, we will know what to tell them. What you should know what to tell them even before you come. It's not when the farmers come that you start attacking them. And then now coming to the side of the entrepreneurs, for entrepreneurs to avoid land issues. And in fact, I'm so happy and excited at how the young people of Cameroon are getting into real estate and recognizing the value of investment, especially when it comes to real estate, because real estate is an asset that only increases like the demand curve and never goes down. Yeah. So in Boya, last month I got two young clients. One young boy came with a mom and was like, I want to buy a property. I was like, okay. I took him to the land, he inspected, and he was like, I'm buying for my mom, please put it in my mom's name. And the mom was there, and the mom was like, no, I want this one. He was like, okay, mama, no, take it. A very young boy in his 20s. Another one came, and just last week he bought two properties at my 16. And I was like, what made you to buy this property? He was like, no, he knows that in the future he will need to build, or he can either keep and resell. I was like, this is interesting. So how should entrepreneurs or young people stay out of conflict? Simple. Get a professional to do the job for you. Don't engage in it yourself thinking that you know well. Get get a lawyer, get a surveyor, get a real estate consultant. A real estate consultant most of the time works with surveyors and property lawyers. So if you get just a good, knowledgeable real estate consultant, then you can tell the real estate consultant to bring in his lawyer and his surveyor, who will always keep you out of trouble.
We will not forget that one of the biggest challenges is bridging the gap between traditional land systems and modern property rights. What practical steps could help harmonize both sides?
You do what you say. So the government should make sure that they always involve the traditional rulers and involve. Remember, I told you on our former discussion that there are four main ways in which you can play in the real estate sector. You can either come in as a developer, a regulator, a realtor, or an investor. So when the regulators, which is the government body, when they want to institute a law or maybe come up with something to implement, they should include some investors, who will stand as a witness or as a point to other investors. They should include developers. Developers are the corporate bodies or the real estate companies that are representing both the government and representing themselves in the real estate sector. And then they should include realtors too. They should include even traditional rulers, and make sure that whatever decision they are taking should be a unified decision. The reason why we voted them as the government is so that they should sit and decide for us. But in cases that also involves matters that run from them right down to the least person, let them try and pick out some few people who will come and represent us, up there, and then they can come out with unified laws that can, bring peace. Because Of course, land governance shouldn't only bring peace, it should also unlock economic growth and social stability.
Atega Daniel, we are gradually signing out of today's program, but before we do so, recently the 2026 finance law which has been announced says that real estate agents, notably the informal real estate agents, should begin paying the VAT tax. Well, that is not the topic for today, but do you think Cameroon should be taking examples from different African countries in the likes of South Africa, for instance, Rwanda, Nigeria, Ghana, as regards their land issues or their land property management system? Because paying tax or VAT tax for the informal real estate agents, how possible will it be, considering the status quo, considering the fact that these people do not work in a regulated form, or rather everything is being done via cash? Do you think Cameroon should be taking examples from different countries?
100% yes, Cameroon should be taking examples from other African countries. For example, Rwanda is the leading real estate development country right now in Africa. Then other countries, South Africa follows, and then before you now come to other countries, then you now have Nigeria. But as it is, comparing Cameroon to other countries, Cameroon should really sit down, take a book and learn from these countries. Because do you know that I spoke with an owner of a printing press, one of the biggest printing press in Boya, and he asked me a question. He was like, Daniel, why do you think that the real estate market has started booming? Because I think I released a video, I did a property sales video, and it went up to 200,000 views. And in the whole country, there is no real estate company, in the whole of Cameroon, that has had views up to that. My video from Property Trust Group is the first that has hit up, that has gone up to 200,000, 250,000 views plus, like a property sales video, educational video, educating people on real estate. And he asked me, why do you think that the real estate sector is booming right now in the whole country? And I told him, do you know, I've never thought of that. And it just dawned on me that the real estate sector is moving into being corporate. Back then, we were only hearing about agents, agent, agent immobilier, stuff like that. And the only thing that could come to the mind of somebody when it comes to real estate is that we're only hearing of real estate agents. But right now, the real estate sector is becoming very corporate. I'm seeing, strong real estate organizations and companies coming in, registered, recognized by the government, who are taking over the real estate space here in the country.
Another good question: before buying a plot of land, what should be considered and what should not be considered? Because many are out there, they actually have the money to purchase land, but they don't know the go about, or rather they even get into it, and at the end of the day they find themselves in trouble. Consequences: the land property issues.
Good. Now, for you to acquire land legally, first, there are 3 most important people you must have for you to buy land successfully. That's if you are not buying from a real estate company. The first is you must have a lawyer, a property lawyer, somebody who understands land laws in Cameroon. And the job of this property lawyer is that he's going to check the documentation and everything. He will take the document. If the land has a land certificate, he will take the land certificate to the land registry and even verify whether that certificate is true or authentic or not. The second person you need is a surveyor. You must have a surveyor who will go and measure and check that the coordinates of the property is intact. And the third person or the third service you need is that there's a service of a real estate consultant, because you cannot do it on your own. A real estate consultant, what is his job? His job is to identify and give you or show you the best deals in town, the deals that are void of dispute, void of problems, and void of encumbrances. But you see that if an individual or a person ignores these 3 people and goes ahead by himself, he's just putting himself up to chance and luck, right? If there's a problem that occurs, he shouldn't blame the seller or any other person, right? The blame should start from himself. So this is how you can learn to apply, because if it's that you want to go and start learning how all of the steps yourself, it's going to stress you, and you might miss out. That's the reason why, there's the services of a property lawyer, services of a surveyor, and services of a real estate consultant. But let me just give three red flags that people should avoid when they want to buy land. Number one, if the place is a swampy area, please run away from that place. That land is going to be acquired by the government in the nearest future. If a land they're showing you is swampy, there's a lot of water and stuff like that, you don't buy that land, because it's definitely going to have a problem, because the true owner of that land will not show up at that time that is swampy. They will wait for you to come and develop the property, and then they will now come up with the original documents. Again, let's not go back into documentation again, right? We can talk about it some other time. Number two, if you see cable lines passing on a particular property, please avoid it, especially the main cable lines. Avoid it. It's a government property, it's a national land. And number three, if the place is very steep and hilly, like as steep as, avoid it. That property is going to be acquired in no time. Just that these are stuff that people don't know. You now see why you need the services of a real estate consultant, right? Because the real estate consultant has been there to acquire the knowledge on your behalf to help you, get that kind of a property. Now, when it comes to the implementation, like I said earlier, the blame goes round. If they say don't empty, your bin here, and people come and keep emptying the bin there, the first thing you should react, of course there's a penalty to it, but the first thing you should ask is, why is it that these people keep emptying this bin here after we have denied that they shouldn't? Is it that they are not human beings? Because human beings reason. Because before coming to empty, every human being has emotions. Something has told him that, remember that they have said you should not empty that bin in that place, but they will go, because sometimes they don't also have a choice. Now let's put it this way. What if in every main street in the country they put a dustbin, like the big dustbin, right? And they say that if they catch you emptying somewhere else, of course there will be some stubborn people who will empty, but you will now see that majority of people now will be going to the dustbin. The reason why they go back to where they have refused them is either because the place where they have to empty is very far, or it doesn't even exist at all. Yeah, so same now boils down to real estate. So if they say don't buy this land here and buy this land here, it's just stubbornness too. Why? Go and ask, why shouldn't I buy this land here? Go and ask, why should I empty this dustbin here? They say because there's a dustbin here. You'll not be like, no, it's too far. If I get up here, it will take me 30 minutes to go there. Can you bring another one here? That's the thing now. Would the government bring that one there?
Thank you so much, Atega Daniel, for shedding light on a topic that affects everything in our society, from our food production to our housing, from youth opportunities to national peace. It is and it was a pleasure having you with us.
Thank you, and same here, Mr. Williams.
The land question is not just a legal matter, it is a human and economic issue at the heart of development. So, dear listeners, it is on this note that we draw the curtains for today's edition of Special Echo. Thank you for being with us, and catch us for next edition when it is going to be 2 p.m. next Friday for yet another mind-blowing topic. But until then, stay tuned on Season Media. Follow us on all social media platforms, and don't forget to subscribe, like, and share all our content. As from me, Fru William, I tell you bye-bye, and I wish you a happy weekend.